everyone, Diane here, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to have a bit of fun painting something super easy just for the heck of it. Some pine trees in a misty sort of forest. Now, this is an idea which came to me from my virtual friend Denise, who lives in California, and she sent me this last night when we were having a chat. And this is what it's roughly like. I'm going to show you the photo that she sent me, and it's just trees. And I can't actually see any background there, but it seems like quite a nice misty sort of scene, and I'm going to put a sky behind it actually, although I can't see one on the photo. There probably is one. I'm going to be using my well-used Kuretake set because it's got lots and lots of different greens, and I think I can probably make what I need from that. We'll see how that goes as we go along. I'm just moving everything across a little bit. I've got some gold paint here from Mab watercolors. You can get those on Etsy, and information is in the description below. There's also a gold Kuretake pan as well, which you can use. I've got my Artex acrylic marker here in white for snow. I've also got Talon's white gouache, which is an opaque white. And I've got my aqua bronze from Schminke, gold colour, and I've got two erasers, don't need that. These are various different golds that I swatched out the other day, so I just don't know quite why I've got that, but anyway. What am I going to do now? I've got a slicky gold pen in case I need that. These are just the things that I've got a silver hybrid gel from Pentel. I need to order some more of those in gold because I seem to have taken them all to Egypt. I've got my Drawwell paintbrushes and a piece of Meaden watercolor paper. This is a pad or a block that they do now, which has got 3 different qualities of paper on it. We've got 5 sheets of rough, 15 of cold, and 10 of hot. Basically, the idea is that you use more cold than rough or hot. Unfortunately, it's all joined together with the glue and everything, but what you can do is you can separate them around there. So this is your hot press, which is at the back. This is your cold press, which is in the middle, and this is the rough press, which I'm just about to use the last couple of pages of. So I'm going to work on the rough today, but hey, you could use rough or cold. It doesn't really matter. There's not much difference. And then I think I'm going to just wet the sky area really loosely. I'm not quite sure exactly what way I'm going to do this until I do it. But I'm going to give it a sky. Now, you could do the sky in a contrasting colour, like pale pink or something like that. Or you could do it in blue, a misty bluey grey colour. I'm not quite sure. I think I might actually go for grey. And for that purpose, I'm going to quickly pop over to my Art Nouveau set and pick up a little bit of one of these greys. We've got a few different greys here. This one perhaps would do, because we don't want anything terribly, strong in the background. And I think maybe a sort of snowy sky, something like this. Why not? So we'll just do that. And don't need to go down very far because obviously the trees are all in the bottom. And when we've done the trees, we'll kind of carry that down in a green area, and then we can do the writing on top of that if we decide we want to do that. So that's that. And so we don't need the Art Nouveau set anymore. Although we could, if we only have the Art Nouveau set, we could use these greens here. Nothing wrong with them. Maybe I will. Perhaps I will. Perhaps I will do that, actually. I think I might. I haven't used the Art Nouveau for a while, so let's do that. But you could just as easily use the regular set. It doesn't make any difference. Now I'm going to paint this kind of, what's the word? spontaneously without any further preparation or anything. I'm just waiting for that to dry a little bit more. I might whack the hairdryer on it for a sec. That'll probably do. It doesn't have to be super, super dry. You know, of course, don't you, that basically what we do when we are painting together is we're learning techniques, aren't we? And what you actually paint really doesn't matter all that much. Because we're learning how to control water, learning how to mix paints, how to choose colours, how to get, you know, a sense of depth if you want it. And this is a painting that does have a sense of depth about it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to emulate that, but if we look at that shot again, you can see the ones in the distance are very pale, and that's because they're a long way off. And that's what they call aerial perspective, when you get the sense of depth or perspective from a lightening of the colour or the tone. Aerial perspective can be conveyed by something becoming bluer, as things in the distance tend to be, or by lightening the depth of the colour itself, so making it a paler green. Doesn't necessarily have to be bluer. As in this one, actually, because the colours of the trees in the background are lighter, but they're not really bluer. There are some blue ones in the foreground as well. So that's the way they've chosen to do it, and it looks quite good. And we'll see how it turns out for me when I start. I don't know how it's going to go yet. What was I going to say? Oh, yes, I wanted to mention a book that I've been starting to reread. And I want to recommend it because there is a very, very good review of this book here on Art Book Nook, which is run by Kay over on her channel. And yeah, this by Ray Balquill, who I've been on a course with a couple of times, and he lives down in Devon. I think he still does 1 or 2 courses each year. For anyone who's in England and wants to go and enjoy a little bit of Devon. He's a great painter and a good teacher, excellent teacher too. I bought this book when I did my course with him. And look at this beautiful picture, you know. And he signed it for me, and I've got another one of his that he dedicated, wrote a sort of, you know, nice message inside it. Came to my birthday party, my 50th birthday party, which I happened to have when I was down there on this course, and he actually rocked up, and that was really nice. I think it was sort of by accident, but anyway. So this book, I asked Kay to review it because he's my favourite painter, I think, of all painters. And she did a brilliant job. And yesterday she just told me that she'd had a note from him, a message on, or a comment on her channel from Ray himself, thanking her for doing such a nice job of reviewing what he says is his favourite book. And so I just thought I would show it to you briefly and suggest that you might like, if you like landscapes at all. I mean, he's mostly almost entirely a landscape painter, but there are pictures in here from Brittany, from Italy, from England and Scotland and a few other places as well. And it's a really good book. And it's true that Kay does a very good job of reviewing it. Probably too good, actually, because you almost don't need to buy it in order. I mean, these paintings, I just adore this style. And I've tried to paint like this, but I can't. Well, no, I can't paint like this, but I can look at his and marvel. And the thing is, what he does when he does paintings is he always paints standing up at an easel, and he puts his watercolor paper up on the easel. And he basically starts off with a big brush. I'll show you, there must be a picture here of him. Here he is, he's actually sitting in his studio here. And he starts off by almost throwing the paint onto the paper to begin with. There he is standing up in Devon. And I could have been in that group there because we were doing a lot of standing around watching him paint. So he puts up his paper and he takes a big brush and he just puts a massive wash all over the whole paper. And then once that's begun to dry, he doesn't wait for it to dry. And then he starts to go in with other things and ends up perhaps sometimes finishing off with pastel. But that's how he creates these amazing skies, which are so evocative of old England. Yes, we went there on the trip when we went painting with him. And this is Brittany, and there's one of his groups. Anyway, I digress because I want you to go over and have a look at this review if you've got a spare 10 minutes on Kay's channel. I'll put a link in the description below. I'm not even sure if this book is still available. There are a few copies out there secondhand, but I think it's out of print. But anyway, if you come across one in a bookshop or online or something, don't hesitate to buy it because it's a lovely book. That was not an advertisement. I stand to gain nothing from any of that. I just thought you might be interested. Now I'm going to start with this painting. Now this is completely dry. And we'll look at our greens here. And fir trees can be practically any shade of green, depending on what kind of light is hitting them. So we've got various greens here, even going into turquoises and so on, which we could use. And we might want to think about making this a little bit on the abstract side, you know, not particularly realistic. You might want to draw some of your trees in if you're not very confident about them. I'm probably going to use a reasonably small brush like this for the ones in the background. And I'm going to basically copy what I've got in front of me, but choosing my own colours. So I think I'll start by cleaning my palette and just to give myself a bit of space. Well, I'm starting to feel a little bit more alive now. I woke up this morning, I felt fine. My husband came into the bedroom and said, he came in with coffee and I said, he said, did you sleep okay? And I said, yeah, fine, thanks. And I said, how about you? And he said, terrible. I said, what? What do you mean? And he said, terrible. Well, Liam woke me up at 4 o'clock, that's the dog, barking, and I had to take him out. And then I came back to my bedroom and there was a hornet. There was a hornet in my bedroom. And oh my God. And he was terrified of this hornet. I don't know why he didn't wake me up. Anyway, so he he got up, got dressed, keeping an eye out for this hornet, and then went and got the fly spray and sprayed the whole room till it absolutely stank, and closed the door and came downstairs and sat on the sofa for the remaining hour of the of the night. And yeah, anyway, so that was his story. Anyway, so after we'd had breakfast, he said, I think I better go and find what's happened to the hornet. So we went up to his, and in between he said, there was something crawling on my leg. Do you think it was the hornet? Do you think it stung me? And I said, I think you would know. If if the hornet had stung you, you would know all about it. You wouldn't be asking me if it had stung you. He said, oh yeah, that's true. Anyway, so we went up and we were looking around in the room and thinking, where the heck did this hornet come from? We had a hornet's nest destroyed a couple of months ago outside, but they're all supposed to be hibernating. So what the heck was this hornet doing in the bedroom? Anyway, in the end, we found it inside his bed. It was actually inside the bed, and it appeared to be asleep just below the pillow. And so we got something to cover it with so we could get rid of it. So I emptied his garbage bin onto his dressing table and put the bin over the top of it. And Tamsin was there by now. And she looked and she said, that's not a hornet, that's a wasp. And I said, it's ever so big for a wasp. And she said, oh, it's probably just a queen. So anyway, all the fuss about a wasp. And so we put it outside and let it go off on its journey. I'm sure it was trying to hibernate for the winter inside the warmest place it could find. So that was exciting. That's how my day started, after which I felt quite exhausted. Not that I'd done anything. Anyway, I have mixed up some pale green here while I've been yakking. I hope you enjoyed my story. It was quite funny. Anyway, so I'm going to paint some light green trees in the background. Now, depending on how experienced you are with painting fir trees, you may or may not know that the easiest way is to draw a vertical line and then have some sort of spiky, sticky out bits pointing upwards at the top, and then as you go down, they level out a bit until they go like that direction. Now, we're not going to try and do anything too fancy because this one is going to be obliterated by the ones in front. So we're not too worried about how it turns out. But what we do want to do is to make sure that we change the colour every time. The air conditioning is blowing cold air at me and I don't need that. Go away. Next one, let's make it a little bit higher. Let's do the same thing again. Put in a line, it doesn't have to be straight. Your branches are going to go upwards near the top, and then they quite quickly decide that they're going to go down because I suppose they get heavy. So that's what we will do. Again, we don't need to worry too much about any of this because it's going to be covered up by what's behind. And then I'm going to add more water to that and maybe a bit of grey to do one a bit further in the distance over here. And this is, you know, you can play around with this and it doesn't matter how it turns out because this is just a bit of fun. So let me know if any of you who have had hornet stories where it turned out there actually was a hornet. We have had them in the house. We have, so I wasn't entirely surprised when he said that there was a hornet in his bedroom. We had them come down the fireplace. I think that's how they probably got into the house a couple of years ago. I don't like them. I don't like them very much at all because a few years ago, my next door neighbour, who is now no longer with us, he's in a better place, and I don't mean the south of France, he told me that he had been on his tractor one year and he was ploughing the field or whatever he was doing, and he was stung by a hornet. And it went through his jumper. He said he had his sweater on, but it stung through his clothing. And he said, before I had a chance to get off the tractor and go home, or because he was worried as well, he said, I passed out and I was unconscious in the field. And he said, I was very lucky because somebody else came past, who was driving past and saw me and realised that it all was not well. So he came in and picked me up and took me to the hospital because it turned out he was allergic to the darn things and he was going into anaphylactic shock. So, you know, that alarmed me. I didn't realise that they could kill. Now I know. And this isn't even the Asiatic ones, this is just the ordinary ones. Right, so there's your trees in the background. And what you have to do now is you have to dry them off, and then we'll come in and do the next layer. So I'll just grab the hairdryer. Okay, so I'm using a size 5, I think, round. Yeah, this is a Draw Well round. Next colour, we're going to do something a little bit darker, but not humongously darker. I'm going to put some grey in it so that it is a bit greyer, and try that out here. Yeah, I think I'll do a couple like that. Maybe we'll start over here. We don't want to cover up everything that we've just painted, but we will let them overlap a bit. Let's put one here. I always think this is where I want music when I'm doing this kind of thing, and I can't, because you can't just put music on and play it in the background, because that's against the rules. So if you can hear music now from my channel, it's because we've added it afterwards. Yeah. So I'm going to just change the colour a little bit here. Thing is, you know, we use other people's designs. This was a Christmas card, obviously. We use other people's designs as inspiration or ideas and stuff. But you'll never really completely copy. You might try to, but you won't be able to completely unless you're one of those experts that does it for a living, like they do in China, where they go to college to learn how to paint like other people. And I was just saying, you know, I'm looking at Ray Borquill's lovely paintings and wishing I could paint like that, but I never will. Even if I was to try and copy, which I have, because that's one way of learning. You can learn by emulating somebody that you appreciate the work of. You can try to copy it as closely as possible, you know, every detail that you can possibly try to get in. But you'll never get there completely. It's impossible. But you do learn something from that. I'm just going to dry this again. And we're going to go a little bit darker again. So I am going to get myself a copy of that book by that chap that I mentioned the other day, Steal Like an Artist, I think it's called. And because I think I did look at a review of that online, and I think it might be quite interesting. Not big, well, because this is something that we talk about a lot, don't we? And, you know, the other day I did a copy of Polar Bear that was, I saw it, the version by Andrea Nelson, and I thought, oh, that's fun. I'm going to do that. And the thing is, what I want to say, and I said this at the time, I think, I don't know if you've seen it. If not, you might want to go and have a look. But so what I'm doing when I do a copy of a painting like that is I'm teaching technique, right? So I was showing you how to achieve the dark sky background. And my way, you know, everyone's different and does things differently. And if you've watched Andrea, isn't it? Forgotten. Anyway, if you've watched anyone else doing it, you will see their way of doing it, and everybody's way is different. I want a bit of black again. And if you have a book that's got instructions in it, it's often really, really difficult to follow those instructions because obviously it's not live, is it? It's just photos, and sometimes not very good ones. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that copying is a good idea, but that if you haven't developed the skill to paint and copy, or not copy, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that every painting requires a certain amount of technique. And when you try to emulate a painting that you've seen someone do online or on YouTube, or from a photo, I'll get this right in a minute. You're working from a photo of a picture and you can't make it work. That's because you don't really know what techniques have been used. That's what I'm trying to say. And what I can do by showing you how I would do it is get close to how the person who originally did it, and what the techniques were that they used. That's what I'm trying to say. So that is why sometimes I say I'm going to work from somebody else's painting and show you how to do it. Or I might work from one of my own and show you how to do it. And then you can practice. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know what I'm talking about. My brain isn't really working very well at the moment. So we are doing lots of trees, and they're getting darker as we come forward. This isn't going to look anything like the one I started with. It really won't. A very good way of practicing painting Christmas trees. Do lots of them. So in a minute, I'm going to start filling in the bottom here with green, which is not, it's not meant to look like snow. I'll do a darker one here as well, I think. Because it's green, it's very stylized, really. A certain amount of realism in the trees, but otherwise it's kind of stylized. And we're going to put snow, gold snow, I think, is what they did in the original. And put another one here. Some people are better at painting Christmas trees than other people, and I'm trying to learn. I'm going to put a turquoise one in here, I think, a sort of turquoise blue here. The result that you get is going to vary depending on what brush you use. I could have used a bigger brush, and I will in a minute for the bottom part. And put a small one in here in a dark black kind of thing, I think. One in here, perhaps. I might leave some white space to give, I might do, I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to leave some white space, but I'm going to swap to a bigger brush. And then the original has got a kind of turquoise bottom here. So let's wet, so like invert, pretend that this is, I'm going to turn it up the other way. Okay, I'm going to turn it upside down to paint the bottom part. I just decided that. So we'll do that. And then I'm going to pick up some sort of turquoise green. And I'm going to drop that along the bottom here. And we'll switch to a slightly different green on the other side here. Take it to the edge. And kind of mess it up like that. This way you have much less control, right? And then I'm going to put some dark here. And then I'm just going to link the two together. I have no idea if this is going to work. This is completely different from the original. Okay, so I have got a different effect, but I'm going to leave that like that and let that dry, and then we'll come back and put in some snow. So that's my effort so far, and this is what I was working from. So I'm going to dry that now. Okay, so I think we need some snow, and question is, you know, should I put snow on the trees or shall I just spatter them? I would be a little bit alarmed or worried about the idea of going in and putting snow all over the branches. I think that's pretty difficult. So I think I might just say this is a day on which the snow has started to fall. It hasn't yet covered the trees. So we'll do that because that's quicker, right? But you could paint in some snowy branches if you wanted to, and I'm just going to sort of, what's the word? Stylize it a little bit by coming in with some, I think, I'm not sure about this gold. I don't know whether this is a Sharpie. That probably will look quite gold when it's dry. And we could also use our white, my favourite white doodah here, if we wanted to put nice even dots in place here and there where the paintbrush didn't go. And then we can do a message across the bottom here. So for example, I'm going to take a pair of scissors or a knife or something. Maybe I'll just tear it. And then you can practice writing a message here to see what you actually want to achieve. So you could use your Sharpie and write season's greetings and see what you think about that. Well, I don't see anything wrong with that, do you? I'm going to leave it like that for now, I think, because you know how it is when you try to do things. But so that's my version, and I think that you will find that reasonably easy, quite easy actually. That's my version of this card, and I'm not completely unhappy with that. I don't know what you think. It's a little bit different from this one, and okay, so all the things I used will be in the description below. I'll let you go now, and I'm going off to get lunch ready. Go on, I'm going to be brave. Season's greetings. Season's greetings, everyone. Happy painting. See you soon. Bye now.